Here we're going to look at topic 11, section example 3. Write an equation of a line perpendicular to a given line. What is the equation of the line that passes through the point 1, 7 and is perpendicular to the graph of y equals negative 1/4 x plus 11? So perpendicular lines their slopes are opposite reciprocals, and we'll go into detail on what that means in a minute. But we want to keep this in mind, the slopes are opposite reciprocals. So this original problem, the graph that they give us, this y equals negative 1/4 x plus 1, they're telling us that for this one, my m value is negative 1/4. So if it's going to be perpendicular, we need to have an m value that is the opposite reciprocal of that. So opposite being positive, negative. So since the old slope was negative 1/4, our new slope would be positive. And the reciprocal is when we take the numerator and denominator and we swap them. So instead of 1/4, we would use 4/1. So when you're comparing perpendicular slopes, your slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. One will be positive, one will be negative, and they're going to have basically the opposite rise and run. So your numerator and denominator are always going to be flipped. In terms of the positive negative, there is the scenario where you have a perfectly vertical line, which is an undefined slope. So if I had a line that went straight up and down, perpendicular to that would be a slope of 0. So kind of like the xy axis, right? They're perpendicular to one another, but the y-axis doesn't have a slope, it is undefined. Or sorry, not that it doesn't have a slope, the slope is undefined. So for this problem, we know what is the equation of the line. We're looking for the point 1, 7, and we want to know that it's perpendicular, so we're going to use this slope of m equals 4/1. So quite similar to the last video, we have point slope. So we're going to use the point slope formula. So we have y minus 7 in this case. That's ours. Y value equals m, which is going to be 4/1, or just 4. I'm going to keep the rise and run just so we can kind of talk about it a little bit. And then we're going to subtract 1 here. So that's my equation of line that passes through the point. Technically, they just asked us for an equation, so we could stop there. Just for practice, I'm going to put this in slope-intercept form. So we'd have y minus 7 equals, distribute that 4, so I get 4x minus 4, and then I would add 7 to each side. So y is equal to 4x plus 3. Again, notice that they just asked you for an equation, so you could stop here. But note that most times they are going to ask you for the slope-intercept form, so it is good practice to do that. So I would suggest you always write them in slope-intercept form. But based on them just saying what is the equation, they don't give you a specific one, you could stop at this spot here. So when you're dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines, for these type of problems, they're going to give you an equation, they're going to give you a point, and they'll ask you whether it's parallel or perpendicular. Parallel, they'll have the same slope. Perpendicular lines will have the opposite reciprocals. So just keep in mind what type of slope you're going to use, and the rest of the problem is solved pretty much the same way.